Zariah always believed that hard work could build anything, even when life constantly proved her wrong. She was 24 years old, juggling 2 part-time jobs while finishing her last semester at a community college in Atlanta. Every tip she collected from waiting tables, every extra hour she worked stocking shelves, she tucked away into a hidden envelope at the bottom of her closet. It wasn't for clothes or a vacation, it was for a car. Her dream wasn't a shiny new model, it was simply something reliable, something she could call her own. Her twin sister, Zarila, however, had different priorities. Though they shared the same brown eyes and thick curls, their paths in life seemed to split sharply. Zariah saved, Zarila spent. Zariah built, Zarila borrowed. Yet, because they were twins, people always assumed they were inseparable. The truth was that while Zariah worked double shifts, Zarila lounged with her boyfriend, a slick-talking man named Chiron who was notorious in the neighborhood for always scheming. When Zariah finally bought her used 2010 Honda Civic for $1,200, she cried as she touched the steering wheel. It wasn't much to others, but it represented independence. She had named the car Grace, because that was exactly what it felt like, grace after years of struggle. She didn't know that in a few weeks, her twin sister would trade Grace away for the price of a cheap dinner and quick thrill. Zarila had always felt like she was standing in Zariah's shadow. Teachers praised Zariah for her diligence, neighbors admired her quiet determination, and even family members turned to her when they needed something dependable. Zarila was known for being the pretty one, or the wild one, never the responsible one. When Zariah pulled up to the house in her Honda Civic, smiling from ear to ear, Zarila felt a bitter sting. "So you really bought it, huh?" she said, leaning against the porch with folded arms. "Yeah," Zariah replied, still grinning. "It's not new, but it's mine. No more waiting on buses all night." "Must be nice," Zarila muttered. Chiron was beside her, watching the car with hungry eyes. He wasn't admiring it for his twin girlfriend, he was calculating. He whispered something into Zarila's ear that made her laugh. From that day, Zariah noticed something unsettling. Her sister and Chiron always whispered whenever Grace was around. It happened on a rainy Thursday. Zariah had left the car keys on the dining table after rushing to work her morning shift. She thought nothing of it. After all, family was family. When she returned home that evening, exhausted and soaked from the rain, the driveway was empty. At first, she thought Zarila had borrowed it. But when she asked, her sister didn't meet her eyes. "Oh, about that car," Zarila said slowly. "What about it?" Zariah's voice sharpened. "I sold it." Zariah froze. "You what?" "I sold it. Chiron knew somebody who needed a cheap ride. We got $150 for it." $150? Zariah screamed, her voice breaking. "I spent months saving for that car. You sold it for scraps." "It's just a car, sis," Zarila snapped back. "You'll get another one. Chiron needed the money more than you needed that old thing." Tears burned in Zariah's eyes. Her twin, her own blood, had betrayed her for a man who never lifted a finger. And the worst part was the smug smile on Chiron's face as he handed Zarila a crumpled stack of bills, as if he had done something heroic. The house shook with Zariah's anger that night. "Do you even know what you've done, Zarila? That was my freedom. My way to school, to work, everything." Zarila rolled her eyes. "You acting like somebody died. It's just a rusty Civic. Chill." Chiron leaned on the door frame, grinning. "You too attached to things, girl. Learn to let stuff go." That statement sent Zariah over the edge. "You shut your mouth, Chiron. This ain't your house. This ain't your business," she shouted, pointing a trembling finger at him. Zarila stepped in between them. "Don't talk to my man like that. He got more respect for me than you ever did." "Respect? He used you to steal from your own blood." Zariah's chest heaved. "You think that's love?" He sold me out through you. The fight lasted until midnight, voices rising, neighbors peeking through windows. But nothing changed. The car was gone, the money was spent, and a wall of betrayal now stood between the twins. The next morning, the house was silent. Zariah moved like a ghost, making coffee without saying a word. Zarila scrolled through her phone as if nothing had happened. Their mother, Ms. LaQuinda, walked into the kitchen and immediately sensed the tension. "What's going on in here? Y'all faces look like storm clouds." Zariah opened her mouth, but Zarila cut in quickly. "Nothing, Ma. Just tired." Ms. LaQuinda narrowed her eyes. Don't lie to me. Something's wrong." But Zariah stayed quiet. She knew her mother always believed Zarila's sweet lies over her bitter truths. Still, silence didn't ease the pain. She sat at the table, staring at her empty hands, imagining them gripping the steering wheel of grace. By the weekend, the neighborhood already knew. "You heard? Zarila sold her twins' car for some pocket change," whispered Mrs. Hallie at the corner store. "Lord have mercy, that girl ain't got no shame." The story spread like wildfire. At church, people avoided looking at Zariah, afraid of bringing up the wound. At her job, co-workers whispered when they thought she couldn't hear. One evening, her friend Tavares approached her. "Is it true, Zay? Your sis sold your car?" Zariah bit her lip, fighting back tears. "Yeah, for $150. Tavares shook his head in disbelief. "Man, she did you dirty. You gonna let her get away with that?" Zariah didn't answer, but deep down, she knew she couldn't. Chiron became bolder after the incident. He strutted around the house, eating from the fridge, laughing too loud, always putting his arm around Zarila like he owned everything. One evening, Zariah snapped. "Why is he here again, Zarila? He don't live here." "He does now," Zarila shot back. "Chiron's my man, and he stays where I stay." "You bringing a thief into this house? After what he made you do?" "Nobody made me do anything," Zarila shouted. "I chose to sell that car. 'Cause unlike you, I don't worship no junk metal. Chiron needed me, and I was there for him." Zariah stared at her sister in disbelief. It wasn't just betrayal, it was blindness. Zarila couldn't see Chiron's manipulation. Finally, Zariah broke down and told their mother everything. "Ma, she sold my car. She gave the money to Chiron. You gotta say something." But Ms. LaQuinda sighed, rubbing her temples. "Zay, y'all twins. Y'all supposed to love each other. It's just a car. Don't let it tear y'all apart. Just a car." Zariah's voice cracked. "It was my hard work. Ma, she stole from me." LaQuinda's voice hardened. "You always acting like you better than your sister. Maybe if you shared more, this wouldn't have happened." Zariah stared at her mother, speechless. The one person she hoped would defend her had chosen the path of denial. She realized she was on her own. That night, Zariah lay awake in bed, her fists clenched. She replayed every word, every laugh, every smug look on Chiron's face. "I won't let this stand," she whispered to herself. "I won't." She didn't know how yet, but something inside her hardened. She wasn't just going to cry anymore. She was going to fight. The next day, she called Tavares. "I need your help." He came over immediately. "What's up?" "I want to find my car. I don't care who bought it. I want it back." Tavares frowned. "That's risky. Whoever got it might not want to give it up. Plus, no papers, no title. It's messy." "I don't care. That car is mine." He studied her face, saw the fire burning there, and finally nodded. "All right. Let's go hunting." Tavares asked around at the local shops and gas stations. After a few hours, they got a lead. A man named Dre had bought a Honda Civic for dirt cheap. Dre don't play though, Tavares warned. He runs with some rough folks. You sure you want to face him? I worked for that car, Zariah said firmly. I'll face whoever I gotta face. They found Dre leaning against the Civic in a rundown lot. Zariah's heart leaped at the sight of Grace. That's my car, she shouted. Dre raised an eyebrow. Your car? Nah, lil' lady. I paid good money for this. $150 cash. That wasn't hers to sell. My sister stole it from me. Dre shrugged. Not my problem. I bought it fair. Tavares stepped forward. Come on, Dre, you know that was dirty. Give her the car back. Dre smirked. Not unless she got the money to match. Zariah's heart sank. She didn't have $150. She barely had $20 left after rent and books. Please, she begged. That car means everything to me. Dre laughed coldly. Then you better find a way to buy it back. Business is business. Zariah walked away with tears in her eyes, but her spine straighter than before. She wasn't going to beg again. Back home, she found Zarila laughing with Chiron on the porch. They didn't even look guilty. How could you do this to me? She whispered. Zarila smirked. Sis, grow up. Life ain't fair. You gotta learn to move on. Chiron added, yeah, stop crying. Ain't no use holding grudges. Zariah looked at them with new eyes. She realized they didn't just betray her once, they would do it again if she let them. And for the first time, she felt something stronger than pain. She felt rage. That night, Zariah called Tavares again. We need to get my car back. We already tried, he said. No, she said firmly. Not tried. We need a plan. What kind of plan? The kind that makes Zarila and Chiron regret ever messing with me. The kind that shows everybody I'm not the weak one they think I am. Tavares hesitated. Zay, you sure about this? Once you start, ain't no going back. I'm sure, she said, her voice steady. They stole from me. Now it's time they pay. And with that, the fire of justice lit fully inside her. She was no longer the quiet twin. She was ready to fight back. Zariah knew she couldn't just storm at Zarila and Chiron without proof. She began documenting everything. Texts, receipts, conversations. She even recorded a late-night argument where Zarila admitted selling the car. Tavares shook his head as he listened. This is gold. If you ever take it to court, this could work. But Zariah wasn't thinking about lawyers yet. She wanted justice in the eyes of the neighborhood. Everyone needed to see who Zarila truly was. Zariah told Tavares, we'll wait for the right moment. Somewhere public, where she can't twist the story. That moment came sooner than expected. Their church planned its annual block party. Food, music, neighbors. All eyes would be there. You sure you want to air this out at the block party? Tavares asked. Yes, Zariah said firmly. I want everyone to see her for who she is. The block was buzzing with laughter and gospel music. Kids ran with balloons. Women danced with plates of food. Zarila arrived in a flashy dress, Chiron at her side, acting like royalty. Zariah stepped forward, voice clear. Tell them, Zarila. Tell everybody how you stole my car and sold it for $150 to feed your man's schemes. The crowd froze. Forks clattered against plates. Zarila's smile faltered. Girl, you lying. Don't listen to her. But Zariah pulled out her phone and played the recording. Zarila's voice filled the air. I sold it. Chiron knew somebody who needed a cheap ride. We got $150 for it. Gasps erupted. Chiron's jaw tightened. The whispers began, sharp as knives. Chiron grabbed Zarilla's arm and hissed, "You stupid! You let her record you." Zarilla snapped back, "You told me to sell it." "Don't put this on me," Chiron barked, his mask slipping in front of everyone. The crowd stared in silence. For the first time, Zarilla saw the truth. Chiron didn't love her, he used her. But instead of apologizing, her pride hardened. "You think you won, Zay," she spat. "All you did was embarrass family in front of strangers." "No," Zariah said calmly. "You embarrassed yourself." The fallout spread quickly. Some family members called to console Zariah, praising her bravery. Others accused her of airing dirty laundry. Their mother, Ms. LaQuinda, was furious. "Why you humiliate your sister in front of the whole block?" she scolded. "Because she stole from me, Ma. And you wouldn't listen. You think you better than her just 'cause you got proof? Blood is blood, Zariah." But for once, Zariah didn't back down. Blood don't give you the right to betray. The house became unbearable. Zarilla and Chiron turned cold, whispering behind closed doors, leaving messes in the kitchen, treating Zariah like a stranger. One evening, Tavares found her sitting on the porch, shoulders heavy. "You did the right thing," he told her. "Then why do I feel so alone?" she whispered. "Because truth is lonely at first. But give it time. The same folks whispering now will respect you later." Zariah wanted to believe him. A week later, Zariah ran into Dre, the man who had her car. He pulled up in the Civic, music blasting. "You still want it back?" he asked, smirking. "Yes," she said, standing tall. "Then come up with the money. I'm giving you 2 weeks before I flip it for double." Her chest tightened. 2 weeks. That was all she had. Zariah threw herself into work. Double shifts, extra tutoring, babysitting on weekends, anything to stack dollars. She barely slept, barely ate, but each night she counted her growing pile of cash with trembling hands. Tavares pitched in, too. "I'll loan you 100. Pay me back whenever." She hesitated but accepted. Pride couldn't save her car. 2 weeks passed, and Zariah had scraped together nearly all of it, $120. But it wasn't enough. That night, she overheard Zarilla laughing with Chiron about using Dre's Civic for joyrides. The sound burned her. "You laughing about the car you stole from me?" she burst into the room. Zarilla stood, eyes blazing. "It ain't yours anymore. Stop crying over spilled milk." "You ain't my sister no more," Zariah said coldly. "Not after this." The words cut deeper than any slap. The next morning, Dre called. "Yo, I been thinking. You different from your sister. You work hard. I see you grinding. I'll make a deal. Bring me $120 and the car's yours. Forget the rest." Zariah's breath caught. "Why?" "'Cause I respect hustle. And I don't like thieves." She scrambled to gather the money, her hands shaking with relief. For the first time since the betrayal, hope glimmered again. Dre met Zariah in the empty lot where it all began. She handed him the envelope with $120, her palms sweating. He counted it, nodded, and tossed her the keys. "She's all yours again." Zariah touched the hood of the Civic, tears brimming in her eyes. "Thank you." "Don't thank me," Dre said. "Just keep working like you do. That car suits you better than anyone else." For the first time in weeks, she sat behind the wheel of grace again. The engine hummed like a heartbeat. She whispered, "I got you back." When she drove home, neighbors clapped and cheered. Mrs. Halley shouted, "Look at her. She got her car back." Kids ran alongside the car, laughing. But Zarilla stood on the porch, her face twisted with disbelief. How? She demanded. I worked for it. I hustled for it. The way I did the first time, Zariah replied calmly. Chiron sneered. Dre must be soft. Should have flipped it for more. But the crowd was already buzzing. For once, the whispers were in Zariah's favor. That night, Zarila stormed into Zariah's room. You think you better than me now? Just 'cause you got your little junk car back. Zariah looked her in the eye. I don't think I'm better. I just know I'm stronger. You always judging me. No, Zarila. I wanted to love you, but you chose him over me. You chose betrayal over family. Zarila's lip trembled, but pride sealed her mouth shut. She slammed the door and left. Weeks later, Chiron was arrested for credit card fraud. Police cars lit up the block one evening, dragging him away in handcuffs. Neighbors shook their heads. Didn't I tell y'all that boy was trouble? Someone muttered. Zarila cried, chasing after the police car, but Chiron didn't even look back. When word spread, nobody was surprised. Everyone except Zarila. After Chiron's arrest, Zarila grew quieter. She stopped going out, stopped laughing loud. She barely ate. One evening, Zariah found her sitting on the porch steps, staring at the street. You got what you wanted, Zarila said bitterly. He's gone. You happy now? Zariah shook her head. No, I didn't want him gone. I wanted my sister back. But Zarila didn't answer. Zariah focused on her life. She worked, studied, and saved again. She even started planning to transfer to a university. The Civic became more than a car. It was her reminder that she could overcome anything. Tavares noticed the glow in her face. You different now, Zay. Stronger. I like seeing you like this. For the first time, Zariah allowed herself to smile without the shadow of betrayal. One late night, Zarila knocked on Zariah's door. Her eyes were swollen from crying. I messed up, she whispered. Zariah stayed silent. I thought Chiron loved me. I thought choosing him made me strong. But I see now. I just pushed away the only person who ever had my back. Tears slipped down Zariah's face. She whispered, Why'd you hurt me, Zarila? You were my other half. I was jealous, Zarila admitted. You always had the discipline I didn't. I thought if I could take something from you, I'd finally feel equal. But it just made me empty. They sat together, both crying. For the first time in months, their voices weren't raised in anger. I can't just forget, Zariah said. But I can try to forgive. 'Cause you're my sister. And even when you hurt me, I still love you. Zarila buried her face in her twin's shoulder. I don't deserve it, but thank you. Life didn't magically fix itself. Chiron stayed in jail. Zarila had to rebuild her name in the neighborhood. Trust didn't return overnight. But slowly, she began working small jobs, trying to stand on her own. Zariah, meanwhile, blossomed. With her car, she managed classes, work, and even started a side hustle driving neighbors to appointments. She was saving again, this time, for more than survival. For her future. The twins weren't the same as before, but they were finding their way back to each other. One evening, as the sun set over Atlanta, Zariah and Zarila sat on the porch, watching kids play in the street. You named your car Grace, right? Zarila asked softly. Yeah, because Grace is what kept me going. Zarila nodded slowly. Then maybe that's what we need, forgiveness, grace, and starting fresh. For the first time in a long time, Zariah smiled at her twin without bitterness. Yeah, grace for both of us. And as the sky darkened, the sisters sat side by side, not as enemies, not yet as healed, but as twins who had learned that betrayal could wound, but grace could rebuild.